There are crimes that shake us to our core. Crimes that leave behind more questions than answers, where justice remains out of reach and the truth is buried beneath layers of mystery. These cases leave communities haunted, their scars deep and lasting, as the perpetrators slip away, leaving only traces of their horrific deeds. Tonight, we journey into these unresolved tragedies, where the victims' stories demand to be heard and the search for answers continues. This is Evil Exposed Cold Cases. I'm Charles. Tonight we revisit a chilling chapter that gripped Oakland County, Michigan. A case where innocence was stolen and justice remains elusive. This is the story of the Oakland County Child Killer. It all began on a cold February day in 1976. Mark Stebbins, a 12-year-old boy, was walking home from the American Legion Hall in Ferndale. The day seemed ordinary, but it would be the last time Mark was seen alive. 4 days later, his body was discovered in a parking lot. He had been strangled and sexually assaulted, his small frame dressed in the same clothes he had worn when he disappeared. The killer left behind little evidence but a lot of questions and fear. Mark's murder sent shockwaves through the community, but this was just the beginning. In December of that same year, another child, 12-year-old Jill Robinson, disappeared after an argument with her mother. Unlike Mark, Jill was killed by a shotgun blast. Her body was found on the side of Interstate 75. There were no signs of sexual assault, but the sheer brutality of her death left the community in terror. The killer struck again just weeks later. On a cold January day in 1977, 10-year-old Kristine Mihelich went to a local store to buy a magazine. She never returned home. For 19 agonizing days, her family waited and hoped for her safe return. But those hopes were crushed when her body was found in a snowbank, smothered to death. There were no signs of sexual assault, but the methodical nature of the crime was clear. By now, a disturbing pattern had emerged. The killer abducted children, held them for days, and then ended their lives, often leaving their bodies where they would be quickly found. The victims' bodies were always clean, their clothes washed, leading investigators to believe the killer took a twisted sense of control over them. The community was gripped by fear. Parents kept their children close, and the once lively streets grew eerily quiet. The final known victim of the Oakland County Child Killer was 11-year-old Timothy King. Timothy was a bright, happy child, beloved by his family and friends. On the evening of March 16, 1977, he borrowed a quarter from his sister and set out to buy candy from the drugstore down the street. He never came back. For 6 days, his parents lived through the kind of nightmare no parent should endure. Then, on March 22nd, Timothy's body was found in a ditch in Livonia. He had been suffocated and sexually assaulted, his body clean, his clothes freshly laundered. The discovery of Timothy King's body was the final blow. The police had no viable suspects, no concrete leads, and the killer seemed to vanish as suddenly as he had appeared. Despite the formation of a task force that included the FBI and other agencies, the investigation stalled. In the years that followed, several suspects were considered. Christopher Bush, a known criminal with a history of offenses against children, was linked to the case through circumstantial evidence. He died in 1978, and some believe his death may have ended the killings. However, there was never enough evidence to conclusively tie him to the murders. Archibald Edward Sloan, another individual with a troubling history, had hair that matched samples found in one of the victims' cars. But again, the evidence was insufficient to bring charges. Even other high-profile criminals were briefly considered, but no definitive connection was found. Decades have passed since the last confirmed victim of the Oakland County Child Killer was laid to rest, but the case remains open, as cold as the Michigan winters that greeted the bodies of those innocent children. New technology, including advances in DNA testing, has provided some hope, but the identity of the killer remains a haunting mystery. The families of Mark, Jill, Kristine, and Timothy continue to seek justice, though many of the original investigators have retired or passed away. The Oakland County Child Killer is more than just an unsolved case. It's a dark chapter in the history of a community, a reminder that sometimes true evil can go unnoticed until it's too late. And even after all these years, the question still lingers. Who was the predator that hunted the children of Oakland County? And why? For now, those questions remain unanswered, buried in the cold case files, waiting for the day when the truth will finally come to light. Please like and subscribe to Evil Exposed for more riveting stories.